So in honor of Ryan Reynolds' blue shirt guy character from this movie, I decided to wear a blue shirt. However, I'm not 100% sure that this is blue because I'm colorblind as fuck. So if it is, great. If not, use your imagination. Free Guy is brought to us by director Shawn Levy, stars Ryan Reynolds, Jodie Comer, Joe Carey, and Taika Waititi. I just like saying that guy's name. Waititi! Waititi for my bunghole! So I've been looking forward to this movie for quite a while. It was supposed to come out like a year ago or something, but it got delayed because, you know, the same reason all those other movies got delayed. It's basically about an NPC or non-player character in a video game who becomes self-aware. And the reason that he becomes self-aware is because he falls in love with a real-world player played by Jodie Comer. Now she's got her own agenda and she enlists the help of Ryan Reynolds' blue shirt guy to meet her goals. And in doing so, it starts to cause some problems with the game that end up having some real world implications. This movie is kind of like that movie Gamer that came out a few years ago, mixed with Ready Player One with Ryan Reynolds' foolery. And as a gamer myself, it was pretty neat to see a lot of these video game tropes and other video game-esque things throughout. Our story's pretty neat. It's not the deepest thing in the world, but it does give us some stakes and it moves things forward. It does enough to keep you invested in this world for the most part. We got some pretty cool special effects, some really nice sight gags, and the movie is genuinely pretty funny. But let's not kid ourselves here. What makes this movie work is absolutely Ryan Reynolds. You put anybody else in this role and it just would not have been nearly as entertaining as it is. And the movie is entertaining. I had a pretty good time with this flick. But I make no bones about it. At least 50% of that entertainment value is due to Ryan Reynolds. Now I can't really say that Reynolds is doing anything different here than he's done before. He's more or less just playing Ryan Reynolds, but thankfully that shtick has not quite gotten old yet. Now the middle portion of the film does slow down a bit. This is the part where we go outside the game a bit more. I'm hearing this complaint quite a bit from people, and yes, they are right. This part of the film does slow down. However, I didn't think it was as bad as some people are leading on. The second act of the film is still fun and entertaining, it's just not quite as fun and entertaining as the first act or the third act. They probably could have cut out about 10 minutes of that second act and things would have gone quite a bit smoother. But as it stands, it's fine. I didn't have that much of a problem with it. Do you really care about what's going on in the real world? Not really, but I understand why it's there. I get why the story needed this part of the film to get to the end. They just gotta shorten it up a little bit. Now while Ryan Reynolds is great in this flick and he is the only person who could have made this work, all the other performers in it, they do a pretty good job too. Joe Carey and Jodie Comer are really good, but it's kind of weird. It's like when they're in the real world, they're nowhere near as interesting, but when they're in the game world, they're really entertaining, interesting characters. Now that does go for pretty much every character in this film, and the movie does do a pretty good job of spending most of its time within the game world, because that's where the interesting bits are. However, outside of the game world, there is one character that is a bit interesting, and that would be Taika Waititi. He plays like this really out there, kind of douchey, dumbass head of this video game company that runs the game. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about half the time, but he is always talking. Remind you of anybody? Well, I did enjoy his character for the most part. I mean, I didn't like him. He's kind of a shithead, but he's really funny and entertaining. There does come a point near the end that it becomes a bit much. They don't take it too far, so it doesn't ever get too bad, but it is kind of teeter-tottering on the edge of just being a bit too much. Overall, though, I did like his portrayal of this character. He's such a shithead, you just kind of like to watch and see what douchebag, stupid motherfucking thing he's gonna say next. So it's kind of like when you guys watch my videos. Overall, entertaining performances all around. Even though the ones in the real world aren't as entertaining, I don't really think that's the performance's fault. I think that's more the characters and the way that they're written. Now, this movie does have a lot of gaming imagery and stuff that you'll recognize if you're a gamer or have been for quite a while. You got the Halo tank show up a few times, you got the portal gun, you got teabagging, just all kinds of video game tropes. But it's not just video games. Closer to the end of the film, you do get some other pop culture references and sightings. Now, this is a 20th Century Fox movie, which I know they're not called that anymore, but I'm always going to call them 20th Century Fox. That being said, I'm not 100% sure if this movie was filmed before the Disney takeover or not. I'm sure that it was written before it for sure, but you can clearly see closer to the end of the movie, without spoiling anything, they definitely take advantage of some of those Disney properties that fall under that umbrella. Now, I thought this movie was genuinely funny, and I had a great time with it. I don't really know what its longevity will be. A lot of the jokes in the film are very timely, so I don't know if in 10 years, this movie is going to be as relevant as it is now. In fact, I know know that in 10 years this movie is not going to be as relevant as it is now. You go back and watch it in 2030 or 2031 or whatever, and it's just not gonna have the same charm that it has now. And what that tells me is that a good portion of the movie's enjoyment does fall not only to Ryan Reynolds, but the sight gags as well. Because if you take that stuff out and it's not relevant anymore, then what you've got is just an alright movie. However, the stuff is there and I had a good time with it, so that is the way that I'm gonna look at the film. I doubt this movie's gonna start the next big franchise. I mean, you never know in Hollywood, but I don't really see it. Guys, while I did really enjoy Free Guy, I don't really see this being the beginning of the next big franchise. I had a good time with it right now, and for me, that is enough, though I don't see a franchise in this film's future. And honestly, for me, that's enough. I'm cool with that. I don't need a franchise. I'm happy with this film. I had a good time with it. It entertained me. It might not entertain me nearly as much in 5 or 10 years, but today, in 2021, I had a good time with it. And as it stands right now, I'm gonna say that Free Guy is absolutely worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
Whether it's able to stand the test of time or not, I did have a good time with Free Guy. So if you're looking for an exciting, funny, goofy movie that you don't have to put too much thought into for the night, then check out Free Guy and you'll probably have a pretty good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of Free Guy. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And maybe even become a top tier bad motherfucking member like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Free City.
I can't die! I'm never gonna die!
Now, regardless of what you think about the rest of the movie and how long it could or could not last and is viable for, you can't deny that Ryan Reynolds was great in this flick. Ryan Reynolds is pretty great in just about everything he's in. He could be in a bad movie and he's always the best part of that movie. Blade Trinity, can we just get him in more stuff? I mean, hell, just can we get him in all the stuff? I just want Ryan Reynolds to be all the characters in everything moving forward. Kind of like that movie Being John Malkovich in that one scene where everybody was John Malkovich. I want that movie, but like to be all movies. I just want Ryan Reynolds to be all the characters. Just put Ryan Reynolds in everything. Except for a PG-13 Deadpool, but that is probably the one you motherfuckers are gonna make.